Here I'm adding some artifacts to my Infect mini cube. I'll either add a small sample of artifacts in blue, green, and black that help any of the cards in the mini cube, or there are cards that are also in the theme deck, such as Wall of Tango Chord, or they actually have Infect, which is a smaller number of them, or they're really playable and I happen to have one laying around and I put it in there. So here you have Wall of Tango Chord. It's in the theme deck, and it's got Defender. It's a wall 0/6, and for an extra green, it gains reach until end of turn. Ichor Wellspring, very playable artifact. That's the reason why I put it in here. 2-drop. When it enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card. Necropede has Infect. It's an artifact creature, a 2/1/1. When it's put into the graveyard, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, so that's pretty nice. Then the green and blue spell bombs. I think my nihils are in another cube, and I haven't really pulled any more, and I'm not pulling any more from this block anyways. So in the case of the flight spell bomb, they're both 1-drops. When you sacrifice it, target creature gains flying until end of turn. When it goes into the graveyard, if you play an additional blue, you draw a card. Same deal with Horizon Spellbomb, but you got to pay 2 to sacrifice it. Then you can search your library for a basic land card. Could be any land card. That's really useful. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Shuffle your library can also be useful if somebody puts a bunch of creatures at the bottom of your library. That'd be a good time to do this. And then also when it goes into the graveyard, if you pay a green, you get to draw a card. I think all the spell bombs get you to draw a card after you play 1 mana of the chosen color. Here are 2 replicas, the black one and the blue one. These are very similar cards. They have similar cards also in the Meridian block. Different names, but they're also replicas. I love the replicas. They're only a 3-drop and each one has something nice. In the case of the black one, it's a 3/2/2, which is pretty good for an artifact because of the freedom of color. But then when you also add a 1 black, you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life, which I think is similar to another card. I forget the name now, but in which case you only get to do that. Sylvac Replica, you can sacrifice it and you can return target creature to its owner's hand. It's kind of like a mini Vapor Snag. Then you've got Sylvac Replica, which is the green one. And when you sacrifice it, you can use it as a naturalize. You can destroy target artifact or enchantment. Corpse Cur actually has Infect 4/2/2, and when it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card with Infect from your graveyard to your hand. That could be handy. Then 3 of Vector Asp. So it doesn't have Infect when it enters the battlefield. It's just a 1-drop 1/1. That's very handy. But for an additional black, it does gain Infect until end of turn. Ichor Claw Mirror, which is really a staple. I have a playset in another cube, but I happen to have 2 more. It's a common, so if you open a bunch of packs, you'll get these. It's a 2/1/1. No brainer. With Infect, you drop it very early in the game and you're hitting your opponent for poison counters. And when it becomes blocked, it gets 2/2/2 until end of turn. That can be nasty. Then I've got actually 5 of Phyrexian Digester, but since it's a queue for 2 people, that's no problem. And I'm quarantining all my Infect cards. I'm not about to drop an Infect card on any of my other cubes. Phyrexian Digester is a 3 for 2/1. A little weak, but if you drop it on your turn 3 and you hit somebody for 2 poison counters, you may not care if you lose this card. The Trigon, that's in the theme deck, and the core Prowler, which if I remember correctly, is also in the theme deck. I'm not completely sure. But I know that the Trigon is. So Trigon of Infestation, if you add 2 more green, it's a 4-drop. You can put a charge counter on it. Anytime you pay 2 colorless mana, you can remove a charge counter and you put a 1/1 green insect creature token with Infect onto the battlefield. I can see it being useful. Core Prowler is a 4/2/2 with Infect, and when it is put into the graveyard, you proliferate. Haven't played this ability, but it looks good. Actually, I think I forgot 2 more Vector Asp cards. Then I've got Phyrexian Juggernaut, which is a heavy drop, a 6/5/5, but that's pretty good. It's got Infect. It should be a closer for your game if by now you've inflicted 4 poison counters, I should say 5 poison counters, and you get to hit your opponent full blast with this thing, you win. And it attacks each turn if able. The Golden Urn, it's a single drop, and it's an artifact, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you put a charge counter on it. When you sacrifice it, you gain life equal to the number of charge counters. That could be useful. Then the last 2 are artifact equipment. Grafted Exoskeleton is a 4-drop, and the equipped creature not only does it get +2/+2, but it has Infect. So say you put it on a 1/1 creature, you're hitting for 3 poison encounters every time. That could be useful. And when it becomes unattached from a permanent, you have to sacrifice that permanent. So that's the downside. And it takes 2 to equip after a 4-drop, so that's pretty heavy. Bladed Pinions is a 2-drop. The equipped creature has flying and first strike, and it takes 2 to equip. So you're doing 4 to equip a creature with flying and first strike. That isn't that great, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of artifact equipment in a mini cube.